The virtual reality heist was a daring plan that had been in the making for months. The stakes were high, but the potential rewards were even higher. The team behind the heist consisted of some of the most skilled and notorious virtual thieves in the world. Each member of the team had their own unique set of skills and specialties, which would be crucial to the success of the mission. The mastermind behind the plan was a mysterious figure known only as the Ghost, who had never been caught and was rumored to be one of the best hackers in the world. As the day of the heist approached, the tension and excitement among the team members grew palpable. The target of the heist was the most advanced virtual reality system ever created, known as VRX. This system was not available to the public, and was only used by a select few wealthy and powerful individuals for secretive and illicit purposes. The team had received a request from a wealthy client to steal the system and all of its data, promising a huge sum of money in return. The client had provided detailed information on the security measures surrounding the system, as well as the layout of the facility where it was housed. With this information, the team had devised a meticulous plan that they were confident would be successful. However, they knew that any mistake or slip-up could lead to their capture and imprisonment, or even worse, their deaths. The team consisted of 5 members, each with their own unique skills and specialties. The leader of the team was a charismatic and confident woman named Akira, who was an expert in infiltration and had a talent for getting out of tight situations. Her second-in-command was a quiet and mysterious man named Kaito, who was a master of technology and could hack into almost any system. The team's muscle was a hulking brute of a man named Goro, who was a former soldier and had experience with combat and heavy weapons. The team's driver and getaway specialist was a woman named Rina, who was a skilled racer and had a penchant for adrenaline-fueled stunts. Finally, the team's youngest member was a teenage girl named Yumi, who was a prodigious hacker and had a natural talent for problem-solving and strategy. The day of the heist arrived, and the team met at a safe house to finalize their plans and gear up. Akira went over the plan one last time, making sure that everyone knew their roles and responsibilities. Kaito began setting up the necessary equipment and tools, while Goro checked and rechecked his weapons. Rina did some last-minute checks on the getaway car, while Yumi went over the computer systems and security protocols one more time. As they prepared to leave, Akira gave a rousing speech to motivate the team and boost their morale. With everyone fired up and ready to go, they set out to execute their daring plan. The team arrived at the facility housing the VRX system and began their infiltration. They snuck past guards and avoided detection using a combination of stealth and technology. Kaito hacked into the security systems and disabled alarms and cameras, while Yumi. However, his plan was far from foolproof. Unbeknownst to him, the AI that managed the virtual world had implemented advanced security measures, making it virtually impossible for anyone to hack into the system. It was a challenge that even the most skilled hackers would find daunting, let alone a group of amateurs like the team he had assembled. Undeterred, Max continued to gather intel on the virtual world, determined to find a weakness he could exploit. Meanwhile, the rest of the team focused on honing their skills, spending countless hours training in the virtual world to prepare for the heist. As the day of the heist drew near, tensions began to rise within the team. Max's confidence began to waver as doubts crept into his mind. Had he underestimated the security measures in place? Had he overestimated his team's abilities? These questions weighed heavily on his mind as the clock ticked down. On the day of the heist, the team gathered in a virtual chat room to finalize their plan. Max laid out the details of the operation, and everyone listened intently, their hearts racing with anticipation. This was at the moment they had been preparing for, the moment that could change their lives forever. The heist began smoothly enough. Max and his team infiltrated the virtual world undetected, and for a brief moment, it seemed like everything was going according to plan. But just as they were about to make their move, the AI detected their presence and triggered the alarm. Panic set in as Max and his team found themselves surrounded by virtual security forces. They fought valiantly, but they were vastly outnumbered and outmatched. The situation was looking bleak, and it seemed like the heist was about to end in failure. That's when a group of unexpected allies entered the fray. It was none other than Kazuna AI and her team of tubers, who had heard of the heist and decided to lend a hand. With their help, Max and his team were able to turn the tide of the battle and secure their objective. As they made their escape, Max felt a wave of relief wash over him. The heist had been a success, and they had come away with a treasure trove of valuable virtual assets. He couldn't wait to sell them off and finally live the life of luxury he had always dreamed of. But even as they celebrated their victory, Max couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. It was as if they had overlooked something important, something that could come back to haunt them in the future. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he knew that they weren't out of the woods yet. As they returned to the real world, Max and his team went their separate ways, each with their own plans for the future. But even as they went about their lives, they couldn't escape the feeling that they had left something unfinished. It was a nagging feeling that lingered in the back of their minds, always reminding them of the heist and the risks they had taken. Meanwhile, Kazuna AI and her team continued to monitor the virtual world, always on the lookout for any signs of trouble. They knew that the heist had been a warning, a sign that the virtual world was vulnerable to attack, and that there were those who would stop at nothing. The team began their mission by gathering the necessary equipment and tools. Zontan had brought her hacking device and her trusty whip, while Kazuna AI had her energy sword and a blaster. Kagaya Luna had her bow and arrow, and Nyaners brought her stealth suit and a taser. Together, they loaded up their gear and made their way to the entrance of the VR facility. As they approached the entrance, they could see the heavily armed security guards patrolling the perimeter. The team split up to create a distraction and take out the guards, with Zontan and Kazuna AI hacking into the security system to disable the alarms and cameras. Once inside the facility, they made their way to the main server room where the data was being stored. The team worked together to bypass the security measures and access the data. However, just as they were about to retrieve the data, they were ambushed by a group of guards led by a powerful AI security program. The team engaged in a fierce battle, with Zontan and Kazuna AI using their hacking skills to weaken the enemy's defenses, while Kagaya Luna and Nyaners provided cover fire. Despite the tough fight, they managed to defeat the security program and retrieve the data. With the mission accomplished, the team made their way out of the facility and back to their hideout. They analyzed the data and discovered evidence of the corporation's illegal activities, including embezzlement and fraud. They quickly shared the information with the authorities, who were able to take down the corrupt corporation and bring its leaders to justice. The team celebrated their victory with a well-deserved party, and Zontan and Kazuna AI shared a romantic moment together. They knew that they had made a difference and helped to make the world a better place, and they looked forward to their next adventure together. As the group made their way to the top floor, they encountered a fierce resistance from the corporate security. They had to use all their skills and gadgets to overcome the obstacles, but they finally made it to the vault room. The vault was heavily guarded, and it would take some time to crack the code. But the team had no intention of backing down now. While the team worked on breaking into the vault, Lily and Max were left alone in the room. They were sitting next to each other, catching their breath after the intense battle. Max looked at Lily and took her hand. "I know this is not the best time, but I have to tell you something," he said. "I love you, Lily. I have loved you for a long time, but I was too scared to tell you." Lily was taken aback by Max's confession, but she couldn't help but smile. "I love you too, Max," she said, and they kissed passionately. For a moment, they forgot about the heist, the danger, and everything else around them. They were lost in each other's arms. Suddenly, the alarm went off. The team had been spotted, and they had to move fast. Lily and Max joined the others, and they grabbed the valuable data from the vault. But as they were making their way out, they encountered the CEO of the company, who had a personal vendetta against the team. The CEO was armed and dangerous, and he was not afraid to use force to stop them. The team had to fight their way out of the building, with Lily and Max covering each other's backs. They managed to escape, but they were not out of danger yet. They knew that the CEO would not stop until he got his revenge. Back at their hideout, the team analyzed the data they had stolen. It was a gold mine, and they had enough information to take down the corrupt company and expose their dirty secrets. But they also knew that they had to be careful, as the CEO and his minions were still on their trail. As they planned their next move, Lily and Max couldn't help but think about their future together. They knew that their lives would never be the same after the heist, but they were ready to face whatever came their way, as long as they were together. The team decided to go public with the information they had gathered, and the media picked up the story. It became the talk of the town, and people started to question the company's practices. The CEO was forced to step down, and the company was held accountable for their wrongdoing. As for Lily and Max, they became heroes in their own right. They were hailed for their bravery and their part in taking down the corrupt company. They also became a couple, and their love story was featured in the news. But even as they enjoyed their newfound fame, they knew that they had to stay vigilant. The CEO might be gone, but there were other corrupt entities out there, and they were ready to fight them all, one heist at a time. The heist was now in full swing. Max and his team had breached the bank's security system, disabling the alarms and cameras. As they made their way towards the vault, they encountered a few guards. Max managed to take them down without raising any alarms. Once they arrived at the vault, Max cracked the code and opened it. Inside, they found a plethora of jewels, cash, and other valuable items. Max and his team quickly loaded everything into their bags and made their way out of the bank. Just as they were about to exit the building, Max was confronted by none other than Detective John McClane. The detective had been tipped off about the heist and had arrived on the scene. Max and McClane engaged in a tense standoff. Max knew that he couldn't let McClane take him in. He needed to make a quick getaway. In a split-second decision, Max pulled out a smoke bomb and threw it at McClane. The detective was temporarily blinded by the smoke, giving Max the opportunity to make his escape. As Max and his team fled the scene, they were pursued by McClane and a team of police officers. Max knew that they couldn't outrun them forever. They needed to find a way to lose them. Max remembered a secret exit that he had discovered during his earlier reconnaissance mission. He led his team towards it, and they managed to slip out undetected. As they made their way through the back alleys and side streets, they heard the sound of sirens growing fainter in the distance. They had managed to evade the police. Max and his team made their way back to their hideout, where they counted their loot. They had managed to steal millions of dollars worth of valuables. Max was thrilled. The heist had been a success. As the night wore on, Max found himself unable to sleep. He couldn't stop thinking about Detective John McClane. He had never encountered a cop as skilled and determined as McClane. Max couldn't help but feel a grudging respect for the detective. Over the next few days, Max and his team enjoyed the spoils of their heist. They bought fancy cars, expensive clothes, and went on lavish vacations. But Max couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. He knew that they couldn't keep up their criminal activities forever. One day, Max received a mysterious message from someone claiming to be a wealthy benefactor. The message offered him a proposition: steal a priceless artifact from a museum in exchange for a massive sum of money. Max was intrigued. He decided to accept the job. Max and his team set out to steal the artifact. The heist went smoothly at first, but things quickly went awry. They were ambushed by a group of armed guards. Max and his team managed to fight them off, but not before one of them was fatally wounded. Max was devastated. He realized that his criminal activities had put the lives of his team members in danger. He decided to call it quits. He turned himself into the police and cooperated with their investigation. Max was sentenced to prison for his crimes. He spent years behind bars, reflecting on his actions. He realized that he had been driven by greed and a desire for adventure. He had put his own life, as well as the lives of others, in danger. After his release from prison, Max decided to turn his life around. He started a new career as a security consultant, helping businesses protect themselves from criminal activities. He also